Welcome back to another season of Acker Basketball. I'm your host, Curtis D. Acker, here as always with my father, Mark Acker. And Dad, we're in new locations this year. I moved to a new place. You moved states, of all places. And with that moving is going to come some new movement for Accurate Basketball here. Dad, you want to tell the folks what we're doing?
Sure, exactly. Yes, like you said, we both moved, getting in a new direction. So we decided we'd do a new direction with the program. And this year, focus on the Atlantic Sun Conference. We picked one conference, thought about a bunch of different ways to do it. We thought we're both here now I'm in South Carolina, you're in Florida. And why not focus in on a conference down in this area? And that's how we picked the Atlantic Sun, based in Jacksonville. And the team's kind of in this area. So it might be a good focus point for us to dive into and share.
Absolutely. Hoping to bring you some exciting things this year. Some new things that we've never done before here at Acker Basketball. And we're going to start by doing a 1 of 12 series. This is episode 1, where we cover each team right now, and we're going to give a little preview to what we're going to be seeing here starting on November 4th, this Monday. So let's start off with our first team. That would be the Austin Peay Governors. And let's get right into it with their starting 5 is what we'll get into it. This is their projected starting 5. So we got Quan Lax. He's a incoming transfer out of NAIA. He won the championship in NAIA last year at Freed-Hardman. Then you got LJ Thomas, a transfer in from NC State. He's been fantastic in the preseason for Austin Peay. We'll talk a little bit more about that later. Isaac Haney and Cy Witt are both returning players that actually made the A-Sun preseason team, and they got potential to win Player of the Year this year. And then to round out the 4 is Hansel Emmanuel. This is their starting lineup that they went in with their preseason game. Now, they didn't have JUCO transfer Achille Evans that game for unknown reason, but he did start over Emmanuel in their European tour. So it is possible that Achille Evans from Moberly is in that spot instead, but we'll only be able to know that once we get into the season here. Now, Dad, what's your kind of takeaway from the Governors here as you research them over the offseason? Where do you think this team stands as far as competing in the A-Sun this year?
Exactly. What I see that Coach Gibson brought in is second year here at Austin Peay is a broader lineup top to bottom, more interchangeable parts, and also more options for players to match up. I think he's got a deeper squad and, again, more people that can play different positions. And so if he wants to play up tempo, or if he needs to play harder defense, or just pour it on and try to score, he's got options more this year to go through that, into those different scenarios, or even specific matchups in an ISO kind of game. So that's the big thing that I saw to take away was that piece of it there. You got Daniel fits that mold. Achille Evans fits that mold. Darius Dawson, more of a pure inside, right? But some of the other players here, I think, will really fit that versatility piece of it that maybe was missing a little bit last year.
Absolutely. This is definitely a team that has a lot of options. I see at the 5, I could see, as I said, Emmanuel, Evans, Daniel, Dawson. I think that's going to be a rotation and who's going to be in that 4 spot.
Right.
They all seem to be able to play some defense, as we know. Hansel Emmanuel as well. He's the one-arm phenom that has plenty of NIL options in the Chris Paul commercial. He was their best shooter on the team last year as well, and he has the ability to hit it from outside, which I don't think really many of the other guys have much of an outside ability. I think Emmanuel brings that uniqueness as far as those 4 people go. I'm excited to see Anton Brookshire this year as well. He redshirted last year after coming over from Missouri, so I'm excited to see Brookshire as well. I think Daniel Luce is going to continue to contribute off the bench. The worry with this team for me, though, is wing depth. Like or maybe not wings, but bigger forwards. They only have Loose and Witt, really, that can play the 5 without them going small ball. I mean, Javar Daniel can play in there as well, but Daniel's kind of a question mark. But this team's so deep. Quan Lax, 4 straight years as a champion, the guy that they brought in. And obviously Haney's going to continue to score. Let's talk a little bit about LJ Thomas, Dad. We haven't mentioned him yet. LJ, obviously coming over from NC State, did not play in their ACC championship run, and then in the NCAA, obviously, where they made it all the way to the Final Four. He didn't play, but he was around that area and around that championship environment, exactly. So it's really going to be, 2 big guys that are going to lead your guards as guys that have winning experience with teams. LJ also as well, he was leading scorer during pretty much every single game that the teams played in this preseason. What do you think LJ Thomas really is going to do for this Austin? How is he going to set apart this Austin Peay team compared to other teams in the conference?
Right, as you mentioned too, with the last exhibition game against Tennessee Tech, 26 points he rolled in. I think it was right around that many minutes as well. It was kind of almost a point per minute, albeit in an exhibition game, but it tells you what he can bring. Just a pure scorer is what I think he is.
Absolutely.
To this team. Even though he didn't have that opportunity at NC State, maybe didn't fit the mold of what the team was trying to do. Here, you need that. I also want to go back to, I don't know if you wanted to add anything about LJ on top of that.
No, that's fine. Go for it.
Right. No. But on top of LJ, is you mentioned the forward concern. Agreed. But I think, and you'll hear a theme over the entire review of all 12 teams in this conference. There's not a lot of strength in the center position, right? It's really a guard, small forward, shooting, and maybe power forward. But there aren't pure centers, pure scorers, pure post. Not Zach Edey level, of course, but
yes.
There isn't a lot of that standing out looking at the season in previews and from a preseason perspective. So I look at it as this team can match up with other teams, I think, very well at the other 4 spots and fill in that role along the way. It's not going to be a big position or point of emphasis for the entire conference, in my opinion, anyways.
Absolutely, definitely weak. There are a couple teams that I think have pretty good big depth, but we'll get to those teams later in another part of the series. To wrap up this first episode, or first part of the first episode here, Dad, is where do you think this team is going to be finishing?
Right. I've got them in the number 2 spot for the conference. I think they're strong, got a good, strong coach behind them that knows what he wants to do in his program, really established roots last year, started building up the fan base so that to make their home games be that much more hard for other teams to come in and play in Clarksburg. So I think that it's full pedal down this year. And again, you add in all these other elements of players, and they're going to make a good hard run. That's my take on them. So how about yourself? What do you got them at?
Absolutely. I got another team. I do agree they're going to be towards the top of the standings. I'm going to end up having them finish 3rd this year. I think there's a couple teams that we'll talk about later that I think have bigger upside potential, but I love the championship mentality that the Austin Peay brought in and what we've covered about them, and I think that they're going to be competitive and probably compete for an ASUN championship. I could see this team making the finals in the championship and possibly making it into the tournament this year, the big one.
Yep, exactly. One step farther from last year, maybe.
Absolutely. Well, that's going to do it for this first part of our first episode here. We're going to be releasing these parts in series, all 1 video each, so that way you don't have to sit here and watch an hour straight. You can watch the video each time if you want. Please know what you liked. Let us know down below, and we will see you next time.